I was thinking how we have to take ourselves with a certain amount of sort of levity, at, a sort of not to be too frustrated with ourselves because we are deeply loved and our littleness shouldn't surprise us or scandalize us. But at the same time, to take ourselves seriously.
Yes.
I was in Europe and I got to evangelize in all these countries, and I shifted my language from I'm going to give a talk to I am going to evangelize Jesus Christ so souls can be saved.
Yes.
And even as I made that decision, I noticed a twinge of embarrassment because I was afraid it was prideful. Okay. Well, why would I think that of myself, you know? But I said, well, why would you not think that? What is it you think you've been called to? Why would you shrink from that? You know, I bring that up just because I think embracing your motherhood,
yes,
I can see why people might wish to throw that off, and maybe that's what happened after the council, right? I don't know why, if you have any thoughts on that. Maybe why priests were like, don't call me father. Is it this sort of, this fear that I won't be able to actually be who you want me to be as mother or father or evangelist? Or what was it?
Oh, those are great questions, and I think there's a lot of answers and there's a lot of components to that. I think part of it is the attack on spiritual motherhood and spiritual fatherhood, and really it's attack on man and woman, and like who are we, and what is a priest, like what does he, you know, he's configured to Jesus Christ, you know, and he stands in the sacraments in the person of Christ, and a religious woman is the sign of the Mother Son of Our Lady, you know. And I think this is my own opinion, and this is my own study, so I'm sure you're going to have people that are going to have different opinions. But what I've noticed is, I was talking with a bishop many months ago, and he was saying that in the 1960s, there was a community in Wisconsin, a religious community in Wisconsin that was receiving 100 women a year, 100 women. And they built a brand new novitiate, and then by 1972, they were receiving just 4. And he said something so beautiful, Matt. He said, women still have the capacity to say yes to this divine invitation. What is preventing them? And I think what happened in the 50s and 60s, you had a sexual revolution, you had kind of an American cultural revolution, you had a difference of just the changing of the nuclear family. You had Vatican II coming out, and when you read we take for granted that we have instant communication and we have people to interpret that. Like you're talking about the 1960s and 70s where you're getting it by newspaper, you're getting it letters a month. And a lot of people say that they didn't know why they were doing what they were doing. They were just told. I remember reading an account of a religious sister who was saying that one day they came into their chapel and the communion rail was gone. And they didn't know why, but Father said, well, no, this is what we're doing now. And they didn't. So there was a lot of really poor catechesis. Lack of oversight. There was a lot of misunderstanding of what the feminine genius is and like kind of a feminist revolution of what does that mean. And there were a lot of, speaking about religious sisters, there were a lot of grave injustices toward religious sisters where many of them were treated like second-class citizens. Many of them, there were some real things that needed to be corrected. So this is not about going back to some kind of supposed golden era of the past. It's like taking a kind of what is it? And what is the church asking? The church is asking us as religious women to be real mothers, to live in the truth of who we are and to be able to give Christ to the people. And so you see kind of the breakdown of that and the misunderstanding of that. And my heart, Matt, for religious women is that we be fully alive. And that's not who we are as women, who we are as daughters, as sisters, as brides, as mothers. And that's not a defect. That's beautiful. Being a woman's beautiful. Being a religious woman's beautiful. Like being a man is beautiful. Being a married man or a man espoused to Christ, a priest is beautiful. And masculinity is not toxic, it's glorious. And neither is femininity, it's glorious. And so what is the restoration of that? And I think what I've noticed today, what I've noticed today about religious women coming, or women coming to religious life and men coming to the priesthood, is that they want to live the gospel. Like they want to live discipleship. They want to live in community. They want to pray the liturgy of the hours. They want to be faithful. They want to be orthodox. They want to be committed to Our Lady. They want to live the whole thing, because for women today, when you can have it all, whatever that means, a PhD with, you can do all the things. So long gone are the days where all you could do is be a sister or get married. And really, honestly, gone are the days where it was an honor to have a sister in the family. Because for many families today, the biggest obstacle to vocations are your parents. And I remember even when I became a religious sister, my mom and dad were very faithful Catholics. My mom, daily mass goer, and people still came up to her, and that was in the 1990s, and saying like, "What's wrong with your daughter? Like, didn't she have a boyfriend? Like, what's wrong with her?" So if that's all true, right? And then why would you say yes to anything less? You wouldn't. You come because you want to give your whole life to Jesus Christ, and union with God is the only answer. Like, you wouldn't do it for any other. There's really no other reason. There's no, in a sense, benefit to that. So it's really like stripping it down to like, what is my motivation and what is Jesus calling me to?
Yeah, there's no social cred maybe in the way there could have been in the
back
past.
in the day, right? And so
I had a close family member of mine say to me, God bless them, when I was discerning the priesthood, well, why don't you just become a social worker?
yes.
And God bless them. I
No,
mean,
sure.
that's like a failure on whoever's part, I think, to kind of show the distinction.
Yeah.
Like, what do we think of Christ in the church if we've reduced them to social workers, as important as that work is?
Yes.
Go and download Truthfully. It's a platform bringing honest conversations and real answers to life's toughest questions. Yeah.
No, and it's so much more than that. And that's why it won't, you can never replace the spiritual mother and the spiritual father, because it's a metaphysical reality. It's a sign of heaven. The world will never not need a mother.
I don't know much about farming and the land. Do you like how you're like, I don't know where this is going, but here we go. But I've been told that like a lot of the nutrients that were once in the soil aren't there because of how we've treated it, something like that.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm right.
Yes.
Okay, so to try to grow crops or something, they're depleted in what they ought to have because of what we've done to the soil. And so I think with human beings, though, it's different, because a human being is a unique creation of God. So they come from God, but then they're raised in a place that's depleted of love and intimacy and goodness, right? Yeah. And so we just don't know who we are or what we're for, or where we're going, or if we came from anywhere good, if there's supposed to be meaning to our life. And so this is something the Lord keeps teaching me lately, is just to stop judging people. And I guess I'm very judgmental because he has to keep teaching it to me constantly. And I think it's a way to protect myself as I see the person with the bright blue hair and tattooed into oblivion. And I'm so saddened by it. And I think there is something to be saddened by.
Sure.
But my first reaction isn't like, hi, like, who are you? In an appropriate way.
Yes.
That is to say, not the barista who's got 5 seconds with me, but that it's a frustration. And I think a lot of people feel that way. That we just walk around feeling frustrated at the state of things.
Yes.
Especially as we live most of our lives online.
Yes.
It feels like the real world is like a town we go into for supplies just because we have to. So the whole town has fallen to pot. That's what the whole world feels like to me. Everything just feels like it's fallen to pot, and we want to get back to our actual lives on Netflix and Instagram. What am I saying? Okay, so if it's true that a lot of us have sort of forgotten who we are and what we're for, and then that lovely line from the Second Vatican Council, since God has forgotten the creature, when God is forgotten, the creature grows unintelligible. What's it like for you dialoguing with young women who are open to joining religious life, but like things are rough for men and women today? Like, men find it hard to find women who want to bear their children, and women are finding it hard to find the kind of man that they respect enough to be with or something. Yeah. How do you sort through that with a woman coming from this? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like the wreckage of society. Someone said to me that if we looked outside and it was a zombie apocalypse, it would make sense of our internal despair or like our quiet desperation. But the trains and planes are on time for the most part, and the water runs. And so it's like, well, what's wrong with you that you feel desperate? Something's wrong with you. But okay, so it's like this cultural wreckage. And if I'm overplaying that, tell me, what's it like kind of engaging with a young woman who's discerning religious life from that place?
Yeah, as you share that, which we all know, like everything you're sharing, that reverberates in all of us. And it just reminds me of Jesus in the Gospel of Matthew when the disciples are pressing him on divorce. And he just looks at them and he says, in the beginning, it was not so. Like, because of the hardness of your heart, Moses allowed you a bill of divorce, but in the beginning, it was not so. And I just think of John Paul II says, all of us have an echo of the garden within us, like an echo of Eden. And I think hearkening to that truth, that every single one of us, like we were just talking before we were sitting in a coffee shop talking about, every single person longs to be loved and to have their sufferings mean something and to be listened to and to be received and to be taken seriously. And we all ache for that. And I think however our behavior is manifesting, because there's a difference between a critical judgment of behavior, which we're given, the intellectual ability to do, versus like a character judgment, where that's a self-protection of like, you're this, it's the character. What we do, we all do that because we're so afraid. We're so afraid of our unloveliness and our unlovableness that we'll do anything to protect against it. So we do that instead. But I think when we can allow Jesus to show us the person before us, that because we're made in the image and likeness of God, like John of the Cross. I've been reading this book I was telling you about, Healed by Love,
what is it?
By Father Daniel Chowning, and he was talking about John of the Cross, speaking of the place in our soul it's reserved for God alone, the place where God dwells within us because we're made in His image and likeness, that no sin can touch, like no wounding can touch. It's the sacred place of the soul that no matter what happened to us in our life, that God is present, and every single person has that. And I think connecting on that deeper level of listening to people's stories and like what's happening there, and speaking the truth in love, but understanding like that's how Christ encounters you and I. Like you and I encounter ourselves and each other in our brokenness and our fragmentation and our diagnoses, but Christ, which is one of the reasons why I think He was so beautiful, why people are just...
why Matthew got up and followed Him?
Yes.
Because he saw that part? Is that what you mean?
Yes, because Christ sees us, and He's not relating to you. And St. Julian of Norwich says that when God sees sin, He sees pain in us. Now, when you and I see sin, we see self-hatred, we see criticism, we see all kinds of stuff. But when God sees sin, He sees pain. And so Jesus sees the truth of He sees me in my wholeness, as Pope Benedict talks about in Jesus of Nazareth, that He sees me in my wholeness. And whatever sin is happening there, He sees the pain behind it. And so like when you and I are friends, like when we're having a conversation like that, like what happens is like our heart's open to the truth, and we're willing to tell the truth and be honest, and there's no fear of, even though there might be a fear of revealing, whatever, to Jesus, we know that He loves us. And I think that's the kind of love that can't be faked, because it's not, I'm doing this because it's a good thing to do. It's just true. Like, and we all want to be encountered like that. Even in our hardest places, I think we want to be encountered by a love that sees us and that gives us space to change.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for watching that clip. You can click the link below if you want to watch the full interview, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.